You've been taught to search for the meaning of life as if it were a hidden treasure, a revealed truth, a glorious purpose that's supposed to justify all your suffering. And while you wait for that moment of total clarity, you lose the only moment you actually have, this one. Because life isn't a riddle to solve, it's a day to live, and you've spent years demanding perfect answers from it instead of simply being present with what's already in front of you. You spend your time negotiating with your mind, waiting for signs, looking for confirmation, and meanwhile the day passes, the opportunity slips away, and you remain trapped in an invisible exam no one else is taking. Stay with me. Gabriel here. Welcome to the Stoic Garden. Today we're going to walk through 11 human reflections based on Stoic wisdom, the kind that don't stroke your ego but do put you back in order inside, so you can stop demanding impossible certainties from life and start moving with presence, with calm, and with an inner compass that doesn't depend on anyone else. And when you reach the end, you'll understand why the last point isn't a neat conclusion. It's the kind of everyday dignity that changes the way you stand in the world. Let's begin. 1. Accept that life comes with no manual and stop demanding absolute certainty. You've spent years waiting for the moment when everything finally makes sense, as if life were a puzzle and all you had to do was find the missing piece. But there is no piece. There is no hidden manual. There is no warranty certificate. And while you keep waiting for that divine sign telling you, now go, the only real opportunity you have keeps slipping by. This moment. That need for certainty sounds smart, even responsible. I just need to be sure, you tell yourself. I want to make the best decision. But that's the trap. While you wait to have all the answers, you are not protecting yourself from mistakes. You are postponing your life with an excuse dressed up as prudence. And the worst part is that it works, because you don't fail, but you don't move forward either. People do not break because they make mistakes. They break because they live halfway. Because they stay in relationships without conviction, jobs without purpose, dreams left in storage, all because they are waiting for the perfect day to truly begin. And do you know what happens? That day never comes. And one day you wake up empty, wondering where the time went. It's like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book from the shore. You can read 1,000 pages, but your body learns nothing until it gets wet. And here comes something uncomfortable. There is a part of you that enjoys this suffering, as if your anxiety made you deeper, more responsible, more committed. But it doesn't. Being tense is not proof that you care, it is proof that you are fighting something you cannot control. And the only one paying the price is you. Donald Robertson, who connects Stoicism with clinical psychology, puts it this clearly. Questioning our automatic interpretations is the first step in weakening the power irrational thoughts have over us. There it is. You don't need more answers. You need to look at your obsession with certainty and tell it, I know what you are now. I understand your game, and I'm not going to keep obeying you. Because many times you are not looking for clarity. You are looking for permission. Permission not to feel fear, permission not to fail, permission so no one judges you. But life does not work through permissions. It works through imperfect decisions made with character. Through that inner stance that says, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm moving anyway. Accepting that there is no manual is not giving up. It is growing up. It is stopping the fight with the very nature of being alive. It is understanding that the dangerous thing is not making mistakes. It is turning your whole existence into an endless later that never arrives. And if today you have no certainty, at least you can have honesty. I'm here, this is what there is, and this is what I choose to do with it. 2. Let go of the idea of arriving and learn to live the path with presence, because that obsession with arriving has you living as if everything were just a waiting room, as if real life will start when you achieve something, when you reach something, when you finally get to a place where nothing hurts and everything is resolved. Spoiler, that place does not exist, and even if it did, your mind would already be creating the next one. Let me tell you plainly, your life is not a waiting room. And yet there you are, sitting inside yourself, staring at the emotional clock. When I have stability, when I heal, when I feel ready, when people recognize me, when the situation changes. Funny how there is always one more missing piece, always one more permission, always something else before you can really start living. The idea of arriving is a carrot on a stick. It keeps you obedient, hardworking, even hopeful, but it also keeps you disconnected. Because if your peace depends on a future goal, then today you are condemned to anxiety. And anxiety is not depth, it is the absence of presence. It is your mind running from the moment as if the moment were not enough. Think about how much energy you spend imagining the end instead of holding the step you are taking right now. You become an expert in plans, projections, scenarios, in what-ifs, and at the same time, you lose the most basic thing, being here without negotiating with reality. And that is where your life slips away, not in the big failures, but in the days you never actually lived. Do you see how absurd it is to demand that a path behave like a destination? A path is mud, dust, detours, fatigue, learning. Sometimes it is beauty, sometimes routine, sometimes silence. And you reject it because it does not look like the mental picture you promised yourself, as if life had to look presentable before you would accept it. Living the path with presence does not mean settling or losing ambition. It means stopping yourself from turning ambition into a whip. It means learning to be at peace while you build, instead of postponing your peace until you are done. Because if the only time you know how to be okay is when everything is perfect, then you will never be okay. Presence is trained in small things, in how you breathe when someone contradicts you, in how you eat when no one is watching, in how you walk when there is no epic music playing in the background. And yes, it sounds simple. That is why so many people struggle with it. They prefer the drama of the future over the discipline of now. And when you begin to live the path, something shifts. Life stops feeling like a race where you are always late, and starts feeling like a daily practice of dignity. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you are no longer living like a fugitive from your own present. 3. Recognize what you can control and stop fighting what is not up to you. Because your exhaustion does not come only from what happens to you, it comes from what you keep trying to force. You are in a constant war against reality, and reality does not even notice. It keeps moving, you keep wearing yourself out, and then you wonder why you have no energy left for what matters. You have turned your mind into a control room where you keep trying to pull levers that are connected to nothing. Your partner's mood, your family's decisions, the opinions of people who do not even know you, the past that is already gone, the future that has not yet arrived. And there you are, pressing buttons as if persistence alone could make them work. It is a sad spectacle, but a very common one. What you can control is less glamorous, which is why it is hard to accept. You control how you respond, your discipline, the way you speak to yourself, the kind of person you choose to be when no one is applauding. You control whether you stay or leave, whether you act with dignity or impulse, whether you betray yourself for comfort or stand by yourself out of self-respect. And because that requires character, many people would rather keep trying to control the weather. In the middle of the day, when something frustrates you, when it feels like the world is testing you, ask yourself this question calmly, not to sound deep, but to locate yourself. Does this depend on me, or would I just like it to depend on me? Because there is a huge difference between influence and control, and you have been confusing the two for a long time to justify your anxiety. Epictetus, who did not speak from the comfort of a desk but from the hard life of a freed slave, put it this clearly. It is not events that disturb people, but the judgments they make about those events. And that is the point that changes your life once you truly understand it. The hit is not always the hit. Many times it is the story you tell yourself about the hit, the mental movie, the interpretation, the obsession with "this should not be happening." When you cling to what you cannot control, you become a hostage to the message that never comes, the recognition you never get, the treatment you expected, the result you wanted. And then your peace is left in the hands of people who are not even trying to protect it, and you, as if it were nothing, hand them the keys. This does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming precise. You invest your energy where it actually has a return. You do your part, do what is right, train your mind, act with integrity, and accept that the rest does not belong to you. Sometimes your job is to plant and never see the harvest. Sometimes your job is to do what is dignified and have no one notice. And still, you do it. Freedom begins when you stop arguing with what is inevitable, not because you like it, but because you finally understand that fighting it only breaks you. You become calmer, yes, but also stronger, because you no longer depend on the world cooperating in order to behave like someone who respects themselves. And when you truly apply this, something strange happens. Life is still uncertain, people are still people, and still, you feel more stable. Not because you control more, but because you finally stopped trying to control what was never in your hands. 4. Honor your story without getting trapped in the past, because remembering is one thing and living there is another. And without realizing it, sometimes you turn the past into your home. You go in just for a moment to look at what happened, and before you know it, you have been there for hours, replaying scenes, revisiting words, imagining alternate endings, punishing yourself for what you did not know at the time. The past has a cruel skill. It speaks with the voice of certainty. Now you know what you should have said, who you should have left, what decision you should have made. Of course you do now, with experience, with scars, with information you did not have before. It is easy to be brave when the battle is already over. Honoring your story means accepting that you did the best you could with the person you were. It does not mean applauding your mistakes or romanticizing your wounds. It means stopping yourself from acting as if you were a criminal for being human. Because if every time you remember something you mentally whip yourself, you are not learning, you are destroying yourself. And here comes the uncomfortable part. Sometimes you cling to the past because it gives you identity. It gives you a narrative. It gives you an explanation for why you are not moving forward. If I am still hurting, at least I am still someone with reasons. If I am still angry, at least I still feel in control. If I keep replaying it, I feel like I'm doing something. It is a subtle trap. It looks like depth, but many times it is fear in disguise. Ask yourself in the middle of that memory that hijacks you, is this teaching me something useful, or is it just consuming me? Because some memories are teachers, and some memories are cages. And if you do not make that distinction, you end up using your past as an elegant excuse not to build a present. Your story deserves respect, yes, but it does not deserve to run your life. What happened explains things, but it does not have to decide who you are today. You can look at your past the way you look at a scar, without hatred, without shame, without obsession. It reminds you that you survived, not that you are doomed. Some people stay stuck because they are waiting to close the past with a perfect answer, a perfect apology, a perfect conversation. And sometimes that scene never comes. Sometimes life gives you no epilogues. Sometimes you have to close it yourself, inwardly, without anyone else cooperating. It sounds unfair, I know, and still it is your way out. When you truly honor your story, you stop living with your mind turned backward. You take what you learned, let go of what you can no longer change, and return yourself to the only place where you can do anything. Here, today, now. Because your life is not rebuilt in memory, it is rebuilt in the decision you make when the memory appears and you choose not to kneel before it. 5. Stop measuring your worth by approval and rebuild yourself from within. Because if your self-esteem depends on applause, then it is not self-esteem. It is a temporary contract with the world. Today they validate you and you feel invincible. Tomorrow they ignore you and you fall apart. That is how you live, like a phone with a red battery, begging for any emotional charger you can find. You have turned your life into a constant radar. You detect what other people want and give it to them immediately. You smile when you are falling apart. You say, "It's nothing," when everything is happening. You swallow things just to avoid making a fuss. And sure, on the outside you look functional. On the inside, you are paying the bill in silence with interest. Approval is addictive because it disguises itself as love, but it is not love. It is a fleeting reward. A well done that lasts 5 minutes and leaves you wanting more. And the worst part, it makes you manipulable. Once someone discovers that you need to be liked, they have you. They move you with crumbs and you allow it. At some point you have to face this question. Are you living to be respected or to be accepted? Because those two do not always come together. Sometimes in order to be liked, you make yourself small. And in order to respect yourself, you have to stop acting like a trained pet, waiting for affection because you behaved well. Yes, I know, it sounds harsh. But even harsher is living with that constant anxiety. Did I say something wrong? Did they like me? Do they value me? As if your worth were a survey. As if you were a product under constant evaluation. What an absurd life. You turn yourself into judge, jury, and executioner. Rebuilding yourself from within begins when you do something simple but uncomfortable. Stop selling yourself cheap. Say what you think calmly. Set limits without justifying yourself as if you were guilty. Choose silence where you used to choose pleasing people. And endure that inner trembling when someone is unhappy with you. That trembling is not danger, it is withdrawal. Because peace is not built when everyone loves you. It is built when you can stand by yourself even if someone gets upset. That is where self-respect is born. And once that switch is on, approval stops being oxygen and becomes what it always should have been, a pleasant extra, not a vital need. 6. Choose relationships that add peace and learn to be okay with yourself when no one is there. Because if you do not know how to be with yourself, you will choose company the way someone chooses noise so they do not have to hear themselves. And that is where the draining relationships begin. The confusing ones, the ones that keep you busy but empty. Not because people are bad, but because you arrive starving for presence and accept anything that resembles it. Some relationships do not break you with shouting. They break you through wear and tear, through that feeling that you are always giving more than you get, through the discomfort of feeling guilty for asking for the bare minimum, through the habit of walking carefully so the other person will not explode, leave, or punish you with silence. That is not love. That is sustained tension. And here comes the part many people struggle to swallow. If you are not okay when no one is there, you will tolerate anything just so you do not end up alone. You will negotiate your limits, your dignity, your peace, for a little company. And later you will say it was for love. No, it was fear. It was Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor and still spoke to himself like a man training not to lose himself, wrote something that works like a vaccine against that dependence. The perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. He did not say it as a pretty quote. He said it because he understood that if your mind is not in order, any relationship becomes a desperate refuge instead of a conscious choice. Choose people who add peace, not perfect people. People who do not force you to betray yourself in order to belong. People you can breathe around. People who do not turn every conversation into a test. And also learn to spot the ones who only show up when you are strong, useful, available, smiling. They do not want you close, they want you functional. And while you choose better, learn to be with yourself without drama. Walk without music covering your thoughts. Eat dinner alone without feeling like something is missing. Enjoy your own silence without feeling punished by it. Because when you become your own home, you stop begging for visitors. Or that is when everything changes. You no longer choose relationships out of need, you choose them out of alignment. You no longer endure out of fear, you stay by choice, and when someone does not fit, you do not fall apart. It hurts, yes, because you are human. But you do not lose yourself, because you have learned the strangest and most powerful thing, to be okay with yourself even when no one is there. 7. Take care of your body as your home, and respect your limits in this season. Because you can talk about purpose, peace, and dignity. But if your body is in ruins, everything else becomes pretty theory, and you know it. You've lived it. There are days when you're not unmotivated, you're exhausted. You're not lost, you're overloaded. You're not off with yourself, you're sleeping badly, eating whatever is easiest, and carrying tension as if it were part of your personality. Your body is not an accessory. It is the place where life happens to you. And if you treat it like a storage room, like a machine, like something that should perform without rest, it will make you pay. Not out of revenge, out of logic. No one can sustain mental clarity with a nervous system on fire all the time. And here comes the subject of limits, which many people like to talk about, but few actually practice. Because respecting your limits is not cancelling plans when you are completely burnt out. That is just the final stage of the disaster. Respecting your limits comes before that. It is not getting to that point in the first place. It is going to sleep when you need to, even if you feel guilty. It is eating decently, even if it is not exciting. It is moving your body even when you do not feel like it. It is turning off the screen even when your mind tells you that there's still something left to do. In the middle of the week, when you are already running on autopilot, ask yourself honestly, is what I'm doing building me up or wearing me down inside just so I can look good on the outside? because there is a quiet kind of pride in mistreating yourself, as if living completely burnt out were a sign of importance. And it is not. Many times it is just disorder, poor management, and a lack of self-respect. Take care of your body emotionally too, because the body does not distinguish between real danger and imagined danger. If you live in tension, your body lives as if you were running for your life. That is why your neck hurts, why you clench your jaw, why it is hard to take a deep breath. And then you say, you do not know what is wrong. What is wrong is that you have been ignoring yourself for months. Respecting your limits in this season is maturity. It is stopping the act of behaving as if you were immortal. It is understanding that discipline is not blind toughness, it is intelligent care. And when your body is in order, your mind stops being so defensive, not because everything gets fixed, but because you are finally supporting the foundation. 8. Turn pain into character and do not let it become bitterness, because pain will come anyway, for everyone, in different forms, under different names, through different losses. The difference is not whether it hurts. The difference is what you do with it afterward. Some people use pain like a gym, and some use it as an excuse to become toxic. Bitterness is what happens when pain moves in with you and becomes your identity. When every conversation ends in complaint. When every memory ends in resentment. When every opportunity ends in suspicion. And the saddest part is that bitterness feels like inner justice, as if your anger were a trophy proving that something was done to you. But that trophy does not protect you, it traps you. Seneca, who knew power, downfall, and the pressure of living in an unpredictable world, said it with a clarity that forces you to look at yourself. Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. And no, that is not poetry. It is training. What happens to you does not make you better by magic. It makes you better only if you choose to work through it with character, honesty, and patience. Because pain can make you more human or harder, more compassionate or more cynical, wiser or more resentful. And that choice happens in small ways, in how you talk about what happened to you, in whether you use it to understand or to attack, in whether you turn it into learning or into an excuse to treat others badly. Turning pain into character means looking at what hurt you and saying, I will not allow this to turn me into someone I do not respect. It means stopping yourself from using your wound as permission to hurt others. It means stopping yourself from using your story as a weapon. It means building limits without hatred, firmness without cruelty, distance without contempt. And when you do that, something happens that people do not expect. The pain does not disappear, but it stops controlling you. It stops defining your decisions. It becomes part of you, yes, like a scar, but it is no longer steering the wheel. And that is when you begin to recover something more important than comfort, your character. 9. Find purpose in simple things, serving, creating, learning, and being grateful. Because many people look for the meaning of life as if it were a lost object hidden somewhere secret, rather than something built every day through small choices. They want a huge revelation, a calling, a dramatic sign, an answer that drops on them and fixes the emptiness. And while they wait for thunder, they ignore what is actually within reach, which is the only thing that truly builds purpose. Purpose does not always arrive with lights and music. Sometimes it looks like sending a message that helps someone without needing to look like a hero. Sometimes it looks like creating something, even if it is not perfect, even if no one sees it, even if you cannot monetize it, even if no one applauds. Sometimes it looks like learning something that brings order to you inside, even if it is hard, even if you are a beginner and your ego has to cry for a while. And sometimes it looks like gratitude, not as something cheesy, but as mental hygiene, as a reminder that not everything is lack. Life becomes unbearable when everything has to be worth it in a big way. When the only things you count as important are the ones that impress people. That is when you lose the ground beneath you, because the ground is the simple stuff. The ground is the everyday. The ground is what you repeat. And if what you repeat is destroying you, it does not matter how many goals you have for the future. In the middle of the day, when that feeling hits you that none of this makes sense, try something different. Do something useful for someone, even if it is small. Create something, even if it is clumsy. Learn something, even if it is slow. Be grateful for something, even if it is tiny. And watch what happens. Do you really think meaning is going to appear while you stay still, judging life as if it were a product that failed to impress you? There is a strange kind of peace when you stop searching for purpose as an excuse to feel special and start living it as a practice. Serving connects you. Creating brings order. Learning expands you. Gratitude pulls you out of the drama. It is not magic. It is direction. And the best part is that this does not depend on the world arranging itself for you. It depends on you. You do not need to be chosen to begin. You do not need people to understand you. You do not need to feel inspired. You need to be present and do what is yours to do with intention. That is where meaning is built, in what you do when no one is watching. 10. Practice wise forgiveness so you can let go of burdens and walk lighter. Because forgiveness is not absolving someone, it is not saying it was okay. It is not inviting back the person who hurt you so they can finish the job. That is naivete dressed up as spirituality. Wise forgiveness is something else. It is taking away the wound's control over your present. There are grudges you hold on to as if they were proof of dignity, as if letting go would be betraying yourself, as if anger were protecting you. And yes, anger gives you a temporary feeling of strength, but it also keeps you tied down. It drains your energy. It hardens your tone. It shrinks your life. It turns you into someone who reacts more than they choose. Marcus Aurelius, who had more than enough power to justify any whim and still trained himself not to lose himself, left a line that serves as a compass when you are tempted to rot on the inside. The best revenge is not to be like them. And that is not moral posturing, it is hygiene for the soul. It is saying, I will not allow what they did to turn me into something I would despise in myself. Forgiving wisely means letting go of the poison, not the lesson. It means remembering without reopening yourself. It means learning without staying trapped in the scene. It means setting clear boundaries, sometimes even permanent distance, and still not carrying the weight as if it were your identity. You can choose not to reconcile and still forgive. You can choose not to go back and still let go. Because forgiveness is not always a bridge to the other person. Many times it is a door you close within yourself. And when you do that, you become lighter. Not because you forget, but because you stop living with a stone on your chest just to prove that it hurt. It is already understood. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, it left a mark. Now what matters is what you are going to do with your life, not what you are going to keep feeding in your mind. Walking lighter does not mean walking naively. It means walking free. And freedom begins when you decide that your peace matters more than your need to be right, to settle the score, to keep retelling the story so the fire stays alive. Some battles are won by letting go, and this is one of them. 11. Live with daily dignity and become the person you wish you'd had by your side. Because in the end, meaning is not an answer you find, it is a way of showing up. It is the kind of person you choose to be on a grey day, when no one validates you, when there is no applause, when life is not especially interesting. That is where you see whether you are truly living or just surviving. Daily dignity is not a pose. It is not about behaving well. It is about holding yourself together. It is about not betraying yourself out of fear, comfort, or the need to be liked. It is about telling the truth without being cruel. It is about keeping your word even when no one is watching. It is about choosing what is right even when it does not benefit you in the moment. And yes, it sounds simple. That is exactly why almost no one truly does it. Because it is very easy to talk about meaning when everything is going well, when you have energy, when the world cooperates, when you feel inspired. But when the exhaustion comes, when people frustrate you, when they fail you, that is when your real self shows up. What do you do in those moments? Do you become small, resentful, impulsive, or do you stay steady without breaking inside? Becoming the person you wish you'd had by your side is an act of self-respect, but it is also an act of justice toward your story. Maybe you were missing someone who would care for you with firmness, someone who would speak clearly without humiliating you, someone who would stay without invading you, someone who would set limits without abandoning you. And now you are still waiting for that person to appear. The question is simple, even if it stings. If you do not give that to yourself, who will? This is not about playing the savior for everyone. It is about being a reliable adult, for yourself first. Because when you become reliable with yourself, your life begins to fall into place on its own. You stop making promises to yourself and breaking the pact at the first temptation. You stop speaking beautifully and acting differently. You stop living divided. And be careful. Dignity does not mean perfection. It means consistency. It means falling and getting back up without inventing elegant excuses. It means apologizing when needed, without dramatizing it, without turning yourself into the victim of your own mistake. It means correcting your course without staying there crying over the map. There comes a point when you understand something brutally human. The meaning of life is not hidden in one big answer. It lives in your small conduct repeated every day, in how you treat someone who cannot give you anything, in how you speak to yourself when you are alone, in how you handle your anger, your desire, your fear, in how you behave when you could get away with it. So if today you are looking for meaning, stop looking outward as if life owed you a personalized message. Start with the one thing that is always with you, the way you show up. If you walk with daily dignity, even when the world is uncertain, even when it hurts, even when people do not understand you, your life stops feeling empty. Because you are no longer waiting for meaning, you are building it with your character. If you wanted a perfect answer about the meaning of life, today you are leaving with something more useful. Life is not explained, it is lived. And it is lived better when you stop demanding certainty, let go of the obsession with arriving, accept what you cannot control. Honor your story without getting trapped in it, and choose yourself from within with a dignity that depends on no one. That is where meaning stops being an idea and becomes a way of walking through life. Now bring it into your day, not just your notebook. Today, choose one thing you can control and carry it out with self-respect. Speak a truth you have been swallowing, set a boundary without guilt. Take care of your body as if it were your home. Let go of a grudge that is rusting you from the inside, and do one simple thing with intention, not to impress anyone, but to train yourself. Peace does not arrive when life arranges itself. It arrives when you can hold yourself together even when life does not. If this video brought even a little order to your inner world, subscribe to the Stoic Garden and stay close. And I want to read you in the comments. Write the phrase, "I am Stoic." And if you feel like it, tell me what country or city you are watching from, so we can build a community of people who are tired of living on autopilot. Gabriel here, and this was the Stoic Garden. On your screen, 2 recommended videos will appear so you can keep going deeper, because this is not about understanding it once and being done. It is about practicing until your mind learns to obey you. See you in the next one, and do not forget your life changes when you decide to hold yourself up.